Hey guys, your crazy coach lady, and welcome back to the 3 concepts to building a wealthy mindset. Today is on our second concept, embrace, involve, and transcend. We did some awesome work in our last concept and got a little bit clearer on exactly what we want to do in order to propel us forward, exactly what we need to do in order to propel us forward. So let's take it one step further and step into the second concept of embrace, involve, and transcend. So when it comes to embrace, what am I talking about? Honestly, totally, what I'm talking about here, the beginning step here, is opening up to your worth. You are incredible. Regardless of your struggles, regardless of your life, regardless of whether you're a millionaire or you're broke and don't have a dime to your name, regardless of whether you feel like a shit mom or you feel like a shit person, regardless of whether you're living with your parents or you're living your dream, you are worthy. And it takes extreme worth, it takes extreme self-confidence, and it takes extreme belief in yourself to begin to change your life. And so when it comes to this embrace aspect of this concept, I want you to begin to open up to your worth and begin to evaluate exactly how worthy you are. The beautiful thing about evaluating how worthy we are is we can naturally see how in each of our dark times there's been light. In each of our struggles that we have faced, we have learned a beautiful lesson. Whether it was blowing all of our money that taught us how to budget, whether it was screaming at our kids that taught us how to be kind, whether it was significant trauma that taught us how to protect ourselves, all of the darkness that we have suffered through, all of the darkness that we have faced has a light on the other side. And the reason that it has a light on the other side is because of this idea that this darkness was actually created for you. That because of your specific worth, because of your uniqueness, you are the only one that can actually take this darkness and turn it into light. And when you can begin to understand that, when you can begin to open up your mind that, we begin to actually step into the aspect of embracing the fact that you are meant for you. You're meant for your life. You're meant for your specific circumstances. You're meant for all of this because of the gifts that were specifically given to you, because of your talents, because of your passions, your pleasures, your joys, because of who you are. This life that you have before you, these struggles that you have before you, are actually gifts given to you to turn into even brighter lights. And when we begin to bring this idea of us being a gift and our struggles being a gift and embrace this whole process, we begin to realign our life itself as a gift. And we're absolutely opened up to the aspect of living in a wealthy mindset because we are no longer stuck in the struggle. And this is super duper important because as the law of attraction states, and as we know from our own experience, the more negative cycle that we breed for ourselves, the more negative cycle that we put out into the world, and the more negative cycle that we feed back in. And so as we begin to change this cycle and step into a way of living that actually allows us to embrace each aspect of our lives as a complete and total gift, we begin to really release all of this and step into a completely wealthy mindset. And this allows us to shine, to completely and wholly shine without any shame attached to us. It allows us to move forward and continue to release, which we talked about in our last video. It allows us to continue to release our shame, and it allows us to really stand up and shine in who we are. So when it comes to the embrace aspect, this is all a mindset aspect where it comes to we're shifting those paradigms for us and we're beginning to open up to a new idea that allows us to live confidently in our struggle, to no longer be so discombobulated with what we are facing and step into the light that we are facing it because it is a gift. So we're talking about all mindset work here, really opening up to something new and putting it in your mind that you are worthy and confident and you are blessed today. Now, the next step of this is the evolve aspect of this. And what I love about this evolve aspect of it is it's evolution, which means it's very natural and it doesn't require us to do any single thing. It just is what it is. And this allows us this natural momentum. Now, if you've followed along with me before, you know that the traction of illness is something that I talk about time and time again. And briefly, I just gave you a tad little bit about it and embrace as far as what we're dealing with, we put out and we get back. But when it comes to the traction of illness, it's this really large theory that we're dealing with to where we are creating so much more struggle. And as we move from embracing the aspects of our lives that we do love and beginning to find the light in the aspects of darkness in our lives, we begin to really do this incredible work that releases this traction, this stronghold on us, a struggle that we've been facing for so long. And the crazy, incredible, cool thing about this is it naturally expands our mind. And when we are living in a mindset of total mind expansion, our possibilities become limitless. And this evolution just continues to take place without us actually having to put our fingers into anything, without us actually having to do anything here. Until we get to some exploratory measures, which is what I want to talk to you most about in this evolve concept. If we want to stay in a constant state of growth, if we want to continue this cycle of releasing our shame and our pain and stepping into our worth and creating the life that we desire and realigning our action steps to build a new life and living in this new life, if we really want to move towards total transcendence, we have to begin to take exploratory measures, which means that we go back a step to our realign aspect, and we don't just do things we're comfortable with or things that we know how to do, but we begin to do some exploratory things. We begin to open up a little bit to some things that would be a little different for us. When I first began this journey, and to this day, I grew up in a Christian home where, God, Christ was the central focus, and that was all I ever learned about. And although I'm still with that today, one of the really scary exploratory measures that I've had to take in the last several years is opening up to more, to not just God, but to the universe, to the aspect that the stars and the moon cycles play in our lives, to our emotional understanding of this, to really connecting with not just God above us, but God in nature, the universe in nature, the ever-changing seasons on all of these things. And this was a scary measure, and it's not something that my family agreed with, and it's not something that I was even feeling good about myself in the beginning. But I knew in order to create transcendence, in order to really continue to expand my mind, I couldn't just keep recycling the same stuff. I couldn't just keep living in psychology, which is what I grew up on, which is what I'm in love with. I couldn't just keep living here. I had to open up by exploratory measures and begin to take in more information. What's beautiful about the way that our world works now is that when we begin to research things, when we begin to talk about things, they begin to pop up in our lives, in our newsfeed, and our advertisements, and our emails, and we begin to see some exploratory measures that we can take that are still aligned with us, but allow us to take some scary, bold action. And this scary, bold action, this exploratory measure action, keeps us in this cycle of evolution and allows us to continue and sustain growth, which brings us to the next phase of this concept of embrace, evolve, and transcend, which is transcendence. Which transcendence is this beautiful word that we commonly think about moving up, right? When we think about transcendence, we think about going to another plane of existence. And honestly, if we're desiring emotional freedom, that's what we want to do, because we're stuck living in this plane of existence and we want to be living in this plane of existence. And we really do want a whole plane, because we don't just want, a little bit of peace of mind. We don't just want a little bit of confidence or security. We want to be confident. We want to be powerful. We want to be secure. We want to have freedom. We want to live in that freedom. We don't just want a little bit of money. We want all of our desires met. And so so we really do, at the end of the day, we want to experience this total transcendence. We want to move up and out of the plane of existence that we are currently living on, and we want to move into a new one. The problem here is for so long we've been living in the opposite side of transcendence. Now we think that transcendence is just moving up and that we put this positive spin on it, but transcendence itself only means moving up. And we can move up in a very negative direction. And we have the history to see this. We have the patterns in our lives where we have taken one thing and turned it into the next, which has created the next, and we can see that. We have the anxiety that started at 4 that grew by 15, which as an adult might be shoved way down there, but is way, way exploding in our lives and in our minds. And so we've been living in this transcendence aspect this whole time. But the steps that we have taken thus far have begun to allow us to shift this transcendence point on its axle so we can create a positive transcendence. So we can actually get to where we want to go. And so this aspect of this concept is all about opening that portal to more. It's all about pulling apart all of the pieces of ourselves that have held us on and kept us attached and beginning to open up to the spiritual realms of the universe and of ourselves. It allows us to open up to the mind, body, and soul connection. So, and if you've followed me for a while, you know that the mind, body, and soul connection is big, 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 big me. And it's honestly not something that you hear too much when it comes to mental health, when it comes to psychology. But me personally, because of my mind expansion, I have found that it is not all just mind and it is not all just body, but that we truly have a soul connection, that if we want to gain and sustain emotional freedom, we have to open up to this spiritual realm of not only the universe, but also ourselves that is living within us. And it is here when we begin to use these exploratory measures and we begin to live confidently and embrace these gifts that we begin to build this connection between here, here, and here. And we begin to truly connect to who we are as a human nature. And again, step back into that cycle of evolution and get stuck in a pattern of growth, which there is no better place to be stuck in a pattern of growth if it's positive growth in our lives. And what this does for us, what this positive cycle of growth with does, what this, in this new awareness of our mind, body, and soul connection does for us is it allows us to propel into a natural dedication and consistency. I have a phone call coming and we'll see if it just ignores it. It allows us to move towards a natural state of dedication and consistency to where we're not super duper trying to be motivated anymore. We're not super duper trying to be disciplined anymore. We just are. We just have gotten to that point where it is easy enough for us to stay in that consistency aspect of our lives because we are no longer stuck in the struggle. So a little personal story here when it comes to embrace, evolve, and transcend. I'm going to use my business as an example just because it's something easy. Now, business for me started 5-6 years ago when I stepped into my first MLM. And when I stepped in my first MLM, what I really liked about the MLM, about the selling, about everything was the personal development side that came along with it that you kind of seemingly had to do in order to grow your business. And I really, really enjoyed this. And so without knowledge, I was living this aspect of embrace, evolve, and transcend where I started to embrace all of these personal development aspects, and I really began to fall in love, and I began to see how so many of the things that I'd been dealing with for so long that I thought had been taking me away from gaining and sustaining financial freedom were actually areas of my lives that I could use to build more money, that I could use to connect to the human soul, that I could use as a connection point, as a gift to actually bring me more. And so 5 years ago, I began by actually using this embrace mechanism when it came to connection of my scars, of my wounds. And I was able to open up and create a natural evolution here, which took me from moving from one business that had a little bit of personal development to a new business that was all about personal development, where every single week we got the opportunity to do mindset videos and to build with our team in this area of personal development. And as I continue to do this, and as I continue to fall in love with this, I continue to evolve with this. And I began to learn and grow more in myself. And it led me to a completely natural evolution of realizing that the only part of the MLMs that I liked was that part. And that I wanted to focus more on that part, which brought me to building Ignite, which back in the day, Ignite was called something else. And it began out of this state of fear, and I have to do these exploratory measures. I have to try something new. My mind is expanding. I know that I can help. I know that this is good. I know that I want something more, so I'm going to open up this portal to more. I'm going to begin to see what it is here, and I'm going to take some actions. And within a few months, taking these exploratory measures and this natural propulsion called me to truly open up the portal to more, to realize that I couldn't help other women and I couldn't sustain or create a good business for myself if I wasn't connected to my mind, body, and soul, if I wasn't opening up to the spiritual realms of the whole universe and self, which brings me to what I spoke about earlier as far as taking that scary action step again, falling back into the cycle and doing something different and opening up to something more. And all of this, what this all created is this really easy cycle of dedication and consistency. I don't struggle to work on my business. I get excited and I work on my business. I position my time and my life around giving me the time and the options to work on my business. I move forward a day at a time on my business without the struggle and without this need for consistency because of what I've built so far. Because of the other side of this is because I'm living a soul fire life, which we'll go into our next video. So again, whether you're dealing with some serious struggle, releasing some serious trauma, or some sort of large incident in your life, or you're just trying to continue and build more in your life, the concept of embrace, evolve, and transcend is needed in order to take you to your next life. It is extremely easy to begin to research and affirm and do the work to begin to change the way that your mindset operates so you can begin to open up to a total expansion of your mind, which pushes you to those exploratory measures, which allows you to open up to the true connection of yourself and others in the universe below you, which gives you the natural dedication and consistency that so many of us struggle with. So that's all I have for embrace, evolve, and transcend here. What I want you to think about at the close of this video, the questions that I want you to ask yourselves, what I want you to report back to us is, where is your mindset weak? Where are you closed-minded and closed off to actually embracing some new pattern in your life, some new existence in your life, and exactly what is the lightness in all your darkness? Tell us the light in your darkness. Get specific on how you yourself and your struggles have actually been a blessing in your life. And lastly, I want you to ask yourself, where's this portal to more? Do I believe that I am fully connected to my mind, body, and soul? Do I believe that there is a universe itself out there guiding me, protecting me? Do I believe truly that I am a part of it, or have I stood disconnected in it? And what exploratory measures do I need to take in order to open up to more of this? That's it for today. So make sure to give yourself some time to think about everything. And then, of course, post your thoughts below. Share your story with us so that we can grow and relate with you. And tune in for our last concept of soul fire living. Ta-ta.